think we're live on YouTube. I've got something going on. Let me have another go. Damn, come on, what's going on? Right. Okay, we tried that one. What's happening? What's happening? Yeah, sorry, just mucking around with the tech. Hey. Yeah, we are live. Right, let's get on with this afternoon show. So it's a party wall show, party wall party. Not really, it's quite a serious matter. This is Dil Gujral, Chief Surveyor at 1996. Let's get on with it. Weekly show for your party wall questions. We're on live on YouTube. Let's go. Right. So this is the government booklet. Go and grab it. It's free. There's the address. If you search for it, it'll come up. Great. So I've got some great content on how the law is, great illustrations, great explanations. Fantastic. However, a little bit short on how to execute. So we thought we'd give the government a hand because they're busy. We've produced this booklet and it's got really simplified draft notices. How you get hold of this and bonus content towards the end of the video. So make sure you carry on watching it. This is, I think this is going to be good. I'm quite chuffed with this one. So let's go for it. This is all about questions, audience questions, all around the Party Wall Act. What are we talking about today? Today, I'm going to go through the basic terms and the process and the procedure. Let's start at the beginning. And a lot of this question is due to people thinking, do I tell the neighbors? Do I prod them? Do I get the contact details? What do I do? Right. So let's go through the basics. Let's start with the basic terms. So building owner. This is, you only have one building owner. It could be a corporate owner, could be an individual, could be a, partnership, whoever. This is the entity wishing to carry out works. It could be owners of a freehold, could be owners of the leasehold. Doesn't matter, right? On the other side, you've got adjoining owners. Now, there's 4 classes of adjoining owners. The Act states 3 of them. There's actually 4, in fact. Most common one is the freeholder, the leaseholder, and now this is leases of more than 1 year. Now, watch out for this because leases between more than 1 year and less than 7 years do not need to be registered on land registry. So these leaseholders may escape. It's a little bit rubbish if you're one of these leaseholders. It's a bit rubbish if you're the building owner because you don't know how many people to notify either. So there's also people who have rights to receive profits. What do I mean by those? So you've got these interesting legal agreements where you have the rights to receive profit, but you're not an owner on the land registry. Or sometimes you are an owner and you have rights to receive. You have a right to receive profit, but you might not be the owner. There's all sorts of shenanigans that go on here. Sorry, what I mean is legal stuff, and I don't know how that works. Hopefully, is my sound coming through because it's not resonating on the other side. So, yeah, okay. And for last but not least, if you're contracted to buy land, I'm not going to talk about this one today. This is basically if you've exchanged, you're an owner. Now, ones that are excluded are short-hold tenants, council tenants, and mortgage tenants. Here, I'm talking about freeholders because most DIY notices can only deal with freeholders and usually with houses. If you've got flats next door or leases and leasehold owners, don't do it yourself. It's not only because I'm trying to generate the work, not because we want the work, but it gets yourself into trouble. You can get into trouble with that. So this is, if it's a simple, straightforward notice, perhaps you think about it. Otherwise, I see too many going wrong, basically. Yeah. So let's have a look at the process. Now, I was having a little rant with somebody about this law. It's it's a really complex piece of legislation. I think it's probably one of the worst ones I've come across. It just combines the worst features of all of them. So stage one is the notice stage. This is not a party wall agreement. Stage one is building owner saying to the adjoining owner, we're going to start works, here's a notice. This kicks off the act, and that's where we go into the process. And then stage two is decided by adjoining owner by their reply. So in a sense, it's a two-part process. And at stage two, each adjoining owner has their individual reply. So they can ask for a schedule of condition, which is largely a photographic survey. It's very much like when you rent a car. There'll be guys with iPads usually now, tablets, right? So they come around and take your photographs. And if you bring it bashed up like Jordan Belfont and his white Ferrari, you say, "No, Mr. Gujral, we didn't give it to you like that. It was a shiny new car. You've gone a little bit overboard. You've done a James Bond on it or something." That's another good phrase. So now it's there to protect the building owner largely, so that a number of times we go into properties, there's cracks, there's all this stuff going on, and we've had to look outside and said, have the works begun? This doesn't sound right. Yeah. So a lot of the time it's to protect the building owner from false and malicious claims where the damage is already existing and they're going to get the blame for it. The other option they can ask for is a party wall award, which is the party wall agreement. This is what you call a party wall agreement. It's a legal document which sets out rights and responsibilities of both sides. Just make sure this is going on. Okay, so rights and responsibilities of both sides, and usually procedure if there's damage, who has what rights. Okay, so that's basically an overview of the process. So that's a starter question. Now, I'm going to go a bit further on, and I'm going to highlight these mistakes, and I've adjusted this slide slightly. I've had a lot of questions where their neighbours are now beginning to be they're property investors or corporate investors and so forth. So it's increasingly becoming apparent that people next door are landlords. Yep, nothing against this. I'm neutral on that section. So what's the 7 mistakes you as a building owner end up making? First of all, you need to start the process as soon as possible. Don't delay. Start today. It's quite catchy, isn't it? So don't delay, start today. Draft notices, right. So a lot of the time they'll get someone to draft the notices and then that's the end of it, which is not very good. It's going to mess this stuff up, mess the whole process up because they don't know what the process is. Again, this is where the government booklet falls short. Yeah. So be aware, it doesn't describe the process as it's currently practiced. Might have been all right 100 years ago. No, might have been all right on the 1st of July. Actually, it was written in 2001 or 2003, I think, 2001. It was okay then, but a lot of stuff has changed since. Right. Now, this is another common mistake people make when they're doing notices. They need to get the adjoining owner's details from land registry, and here I've got limited company. So if the property is owned by a limited company, you also need to get their address from company's house. Why do I say that? Because usually land registry details get registered, they move the company, and they don't bother updating land registry details, whereas limited company details are more up to date, and the Act talks about last place of business. So by getting both on there, you've ticked both boxes. Yeah. Now, you need to understand the tenfold process, and the reason I say do nothing or get a specialist, it's because there's a lot of construction professionals that are really trying to be helpful. They're saying, well, we'll do the notice for you. We'll help you out here. It's not no major thing. And then because they don't understand the entire process, they can get their owners into a problem. Yeah. So make sure you understand the process. In fact, as a construction professional, if you don't fully understand this stuff, you're better off not doing anything and saying, find someone else. So in a sense, I'm saying stay in your lane, not because you can't deal with it. It's because unless you've done it and practiced it and know what you're doing, it's a rather over ambiguous process, complex as well. So you need to be able to complete the 10-4 process. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to explain that shortly. So carry on watching here. Now, you need to understand why I'm saying this. Don't send notices recorded delivery because that doesn't count as service. You need to send them by certificate of posting. And yes, the guys at the post office, if you're watching this, please be a little bit kind to them. Let them have certificate of posting. Don't oversell a recorded delivery. I don't think you guys get any commission. You're just trying to do a job for it properly, looking after your customer, but that's not what they need. Let me explain the reason why. I'm trying to find something red here. So this little red slip will drop through the post box. So Mr. Postman turns up, very nice chap. I've got a really nice postman. Turns up, says, got recorded delivery. I'm sitting there thinking, damn, it's a bill. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to just pretend I'm in the loo, I'm in the garden, or I'm busy doing a Zoom meeting, and I'm not going to go and answer him because he wants me to sign something. I'm not expecting anything. Value is just going to be a bill or a summons. So I'm not going to sign it. And they'll drop this little red slip through the letterbox, and you won't collect it. And it's not served by the adjoining owner. So this is all the adjoining owner. They're not going to bother collecting it. It doesn't constitute service. Whereas certificate of posting is deemed to be served 2 days later. It comes under Deemed Service Act. That's all I can tell you about it. So get a certificate of posting, put it in your file. Important. Don't send it recorded delivery. You're doing it wrong. Now, action the 10-4 process. You need to send a note. I'm going to go through this later on as well. Notice, reminder letter, 10-4. Job done. Especially for limited companies and landlords. Look, follow the process, do no less and no more, and keep yourself compliant. This is the best way I can put it. Hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Don't try and chase up the adjoining owners. Now, I used to advise hand deliver it. I'm going to change that slightly because you're actually not under any obligation to hand deliver it. Some neighbors don't get on too well. Other neighbors don't know what their neighbors are like. And if you're going to do a certificate of posting anyway, the advice I would say now is only hand deliver it if you're certain of the outcome, i.e., you get on well with the neighbors. Yeah. Unfortunately, from all of what I see, most people no longer have that relationship with their neighbors. It's a bit, I'm hesitant in saying it, but it's what's the reality in my experience. So only do this hand delivery thing, and this is what the government booklet recommends, if you know your neighbors are super good with you. Yeah. No, we're not trying to be rude. We're just trying to, this is a legal process, and we just need to do enough to comply. Yeah. So let me phrase it that way. Now, why you should start as soon as possible. So this was one of my lessons in lockdown. At the back end of section 12, section 10, subsection 12, last paragraph C, it basically states that unless the adjoining owners put it in writing, you have to let the service period of the notice pass, which is either 1 month or 2 months, depending on the works. So, and that date is it's the later of the notice period or an award. So you can't start works until you've agreed an award, But even if you've got an award, apparently you can't start works until that time period is lapsed, unless the adjoining owner agrees. So just bear that in mind. This is why you need to start that clock as quickly as possible. Okay, got some more question. Got another question. So we're looking at, let's have a look at the question that's going on. So I'm going to come to the bonus content in a minute. So fire. Yeah, I'm going to go through the timings and the process. This is a good question, actually. Let's look at the 10-4 process, what I keep talking about, and the timings and so on. Right. Okay. So for each adjoining owner, this is a process, and you need to do, they're on the same side and they're going to be affected by that element of a notifiable work. So example, you get two adjoining owners on one side where you're going to dig this foundation. Usually you want to do all the adjoining owners, but you know, let's pretend it's a super big site. This you know, you could start on one side and wait for the others. It's not advisable. It always ends in tears. Yes, actually, I've never seen a case that it works properly, but theoretically you can do it. Legally you can do it. Okay. So for each adjoining owner, here's the process. You identify the notifiable works and serve the adjoining owner a notice. They're the following response options, stage 2, basically. They can consent with a schedule of condition, so that's easy. Remember the car, photographic survey, and that's what you're doing, basically. And in that case, for that adjoining owner, you can tick it, it's done. Or here's the other options. They can say, it's called dissent. I was speaking to someone this afternoon about dissenting to a party wall. It just means that you'd like a party wall agreement and you want a surveyor to be involved. It doesn't mean you can stop the work. In fact, the Party Wall Act doesn't allow you to stop the works. It's on the side of the building owner. They say it's an enabling act. I think it could do better, but you know, I'm getting on my hobby horse now. So they can either opt for an agreed surveyor or they can appoint their own surveyor. In the end, the output is usually very similar in residential. Well, it is actually. There's a schedule of condition, there's an award, either written by the agreed surveyor or by the two surveyors. So the outcome is exactly the same, and then they can get on with the works. Now, here's where we come to this 10-4 question. What happens if there's no response? So if there's no response, you need to send the adjoining owner a 10-4 reminder letter. And there's no response to that letter, so notice, letter, and then you appoint a surveyor on their behalf. This surveyor will then write to the adjoining owners requesting a schedule of condition. Regardless of whether they receive response or not to this request, they can complete a party wall award, in which case you tick that box and you're ready, you've done the process for that owner. So that's it, basically. Now, I get this question a lot, so I'm going to go through it now. What are the timings for a 10-4 process and non-response from an adjoining owner? So let's break this down. Yeah, just talk about the steps. And the 10-4 process explained in a bit more detail in terms of time. So, step 1, send a notice. 14 days, add the 2 for certificate of posting. I'm going to correct this formula in a future one, actually. It should be 2 working days plus 14 calendar days. Yeah, there's a little bit of reasoning for that. Basically, you need 2 working days for the letter to arrive, and then it's 14 calendar days from that point. So when I do my slides again, it should be that way around. 10-4 letter, again, it should be 2 working days plus the 10 days for that letter. Okay, so the 16 days plus 12 days, we're at 28 days now. Step 3, you appoint a surveyor on their behalf. This surveyor will request a schedule of condition. Normally we give it anything from, there's no specified time period. We will normally say 10 days. Could be less, could be more. There's no specified period. It's not in the act. once those days have lapsed, the adjoining owner surveyor serves an award. We'll give that 5 days, so they're working on it in the meantime. I brought that in at 43 days. Now, you could theoretically do it in about 34 days, actually. You really pushed everything. You know? So, is that right? No, 38 days. No, 28 days. If you can move that, it's about 34 days in an extreme case. So this is how many, and for those sharp amongst you, you'll know that low notice period for a loft is 2 months. So 43 days is less than a notice period. So theoretically, you could do all of this, but you still have to wait. This is why I say start as soon as possible. So, thought about that, right? So if you don't carry out the 10-4 process, the result might be the adjoining owner there's no survey carried out on the adjoining owner's property. Actually, this is another little funny element. We're not actually interested in carrying out a survey on your own property. We're just concerned about the adjoining owner's property. Why? It's a good question. And if you really sit there and think about it, the builders are coming in. They're going to destroy your property anyway. Sorry. They're going to improve your property anyway. So there's no point in us doing a survey on your property. Yeah. So hopefully that will make sense. Sorry, builders. Just don't get that with you. Right. Building owners. Right. If you're a building owner, you don't do the 10-4 process, your works might get stopped midstream. And I've had this on a number of occasions. Actually, it got quite intense last year. It's still going on in one of these cases. So there's something, actually, this wasn't a house either. It was a commercial development and it stopped for ages. It caused a delay of 2 to 3 months. They were building 4 flats, which is £8,000 to £12,000 in lost rental at least. So if you think all this stuff's expensive, you should try not doing it. Don't try not doing it. It's even more expensive, is the only thing I can say. I'm not going to comment on that project. That's an interesting case study going on. Very interesting. Right. Promised you bonus content, didn't I? So here it is. And I've got an extra present for you as well. Bonus content. Here's the wording for the 10-4 letter. Now, all you're saying is, with reference to the notice that was served, and you fill in your own date, don't put the X's in. You're saying, I haven't received a reply, and therefore it's deemed dissent under the Act. I missed out the dissent bit, actually. Deemed to have risen. Oh, a deemed dispute, sorry. That's what it means, a deemed dispute. I thought I missed something out there. Therefore, you're requesting that they make an appoint a surveyor or another one will be appointed on their behalf. A bit like reading the, what do they call it, the caution. I usually put this in the letter saying, look, you can still appoint me as an agreed surveyor, because all I'm trying to do is, this is in residential cases where you can appoint us as agreed surveyor, saves costs for the building owners, and that's what we're trying to do, and do a proper job, of course. So there are some circumstances we're not allowed to be agreed surveyors, but obviously we don't do that then. So that's the 10-4 letter wording. Now you're saying, yeah, Dil, it's all very good. Am I going to have to type this out? So here's a little gift. Here's a free gift. There's a link below in the description. You can get this template. We've created it in addition to the government booklet. So that's great for the law. This is super great for a checklist. So here's your checklist. Boom, boom, boom. 10 or 11 stages, 10 there. It's going to go to 11 soon. You can get it absolutely free. Just grab the link. There's a link below. What's the cost? Well, it's free, and it's got sample notices. I will ask you to, if you don't mind, subscribe, like, and share this content because it'll help somebody else out. doesn't understand this, I know it's a bit of a pain, but if you like it and you subscribe and you share it, it'll help us spread this information out. All we're trying to do is get everybody a better result. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time. See you probably same place, a similar time next week, slightly delayed. But don't forget, grab it below, like and subscribe and share. I'll see you next week. Look forward to